Hey guys, this is Dan here, and today I'm doing a behind the scenes look at the World War II short film on the Bluecast channel. I wanted to do this instead of a 20-minute in-depth tutorial about, say, the nuke effect or something, just because I thought it'd be more helpful if you just kind of had an overview of what I did for each of the effects, well, each of the main effects. So I guess we'll start with the tracer fire here. So there's a lot of ways to do this, and I'm still trying to figure out the best way. I'll just tell you what I did in here. Basically what I did is I took a muzzle flash and I stretched it out a lot. I'll just do it again right now so you kind of have a better idea what I'm talking about. So I took a muzzle flash, probably not the best example, but took it and stretched it out. I think the final scale was like 3 by 1000 or something like that. So really stretched it out, and so that kind of makes it look like a beam. And then I took it and I froze the frame so that would just be this beam here, and then you can make it however long you want. And then basically what I did is I just turned it into a 3D layer, and I positioned it where the muzzle flash was coming from, and basically just keyframe the position over time so that, say, one frame it would be out here, and then 2 frames later it would pass the camera, and so that way looks kind of like a tracer. Now, like I said, I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do this. The one nice thing about doing it this way is that you let After Effects kind of figure out how it looks in 3D space, and you don't have to figure that out. So that's pretty useful, because all you have to do is change the position over time, and After Effects kind of makes it look like it's 3D. So that is what I did for the muzzle flash, or not the muzzle flashes, the tracer fire. So I'll go on to the muzzle flashes. Those were fairly basic. Basically what I did is I took the muzzle flash and I masked out the gun here, so that looked like it was behind it, and then I took a kind of glowy layer, let's see what I added, levels, and I masked out around the gun here to make it brighter, so it looked like it was reflecting the muzzle flash, and then I added a glow as well, and that just kind of brightened the entire thing up. So the muzzle flash was pretty simple, there wasn't too much to that. And then the casings, this was just with Action Essentials 2 again, and I just keyframed the position over time and turned on the motion blur, and I found that looked pretty realistic. So yeah, those two were pretty simple. Now let's talk about the nuke. That was definitely the most difficult and time-consuming aspect of this. Originally I had filmed this just to have like a set extension or some, like, I don't know, field or something behind the actor, but I wanted to add a nuke. The problem is it didn't integrate very well. There's like trees and grass and stuff, and then the next scene it's like a wasteland, so it didn't look that well integrated. So to try to get over that, I added the dust and the light and the particles and stuff, and that was basically just the dust was an atmosphere effect from Action Essentials 2, and then I used particular to make the particle system. I made a massive mess out of this comp. I'm trying to figure out where everything is, so let me just look a little bit, see if I can find the, okay, I think this is it. No? Let's see. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so I just went to particular and kind of made a basic particle system, and yeah, it really wasn't that complicated. I just made kind of the brown particles and added wind so they'd fly from right to left, And then the glow was just an adjustment layer I added, and then I added a wiggle expression to the opacity so that it would just kind of wiggle the brightness and make it look like it was flashing a little bit. So that's what I did for that. I didn't motion track it or anything. And the nuke, this part was a little more complicated. I had originally shot the footage of the actor in real life, like on the set, and I couldn't really use that because I was trying to mask out each frame of the actor, and it just got ridiculously time consuming. So I shot it on a blue screen later, and so let's find that. Okay, so what I basically did is I shot it on a blue screen with some track points I taped up on the screen, and so this is the original shot. And so then what I did is I motion tracked one of the points and then linked the nuke to that point so that it looked like it was integrated. And then I color corrected Soldier and added some blur to kind of give it depth of field. And then I added a particle system again, just the same way, and put it in front of the actor, and then the camera to give it depth of field. And then the atmosphere again, just some dust in the foreground, and then I added a glow in front of the nuke, and the same wiggle expression on the opacity to kind of make it look like it was glowing. And then the last thing I did to make the nuke look like it wasn't just a still frame, I added a liquefy effect, and so I basically just morphed the nuke over time a little bit so it looked like it was kind of growing. And there's a really good tutorial on Video Copilot from Andrew Kramer, and it's on making a volcano look real, just like a still image of a volcano. So if you're interested in that, definitely go check his tutorial out, because it'll explain what I did more in depth. So that was basically the nuke effect. Then obviously in the final comp I added more color correction and stuff to kind of integrate it all. And then the last thing to talk about would be the landmine, and that wasn't super complicated. Basically it was just layering a bunch of action essentials to explosions. I think I used the dirt charges, these guys, and then I made an I changed their blending mode to add so that it would look brighter, kind of like an explosion. And then I added bouncing debris, and I added hue and saturation to make it red, so it's kind of like body chunks coming out around here. And then I used wiggle to make the camera shake and turned on motion blur, and then final kind of glow to make it brighter. And then also to make it look a little more integrated, I added a shadow. So basically I took one of these charges and rotated it this way, so if I turn that off there's no shadow, and turn it on there's a shadow. And the nice thing about doing this is that instead of using like just a solid or something and masking it, if you just use the original footage, add the levels to make it all dark, and then the blur to make it look like a shadow, then it follows the explosion. It looks really realistic. So yeah, that's basically what I did. I got a lot of comments about the rifle, and it is not a shotgun, despite what it may look like. It is a pump rifle, and it's definitely not World War II style. I agree with that. And I also agree with the red shirt and the cargo shorts. We kind of shot this spur of the moment a little bit, so I also don't really have the right pants. That didn't help either. But anyway, overall I thought it turned out pretty well. So yeah, thanks for watching.